there's so much fear porn out there. I don't even like saying that, but like I'm just reading through headlines here, and it's like, Iran war, global depression incoming. Cuba will rise against U.S. aggression. U.S. empire decline in energy wars. Iran's strategic win. They downed, nuclear risk or whatever. Iran, Russia destroy U.S. empire. You take that, then you take on like what AI is going to do to the job market. You take on just there's wars and there's rumors of wars, earthquakes, there's natural disasters, there's things falling from the sky that we can't figure out now, all this stuff. There's so much of it out there. There's two things I want to point out. The percentage of living in optimism versus negativity, right? So living in optimism. I am undoubtedly an optimist. I'm heavily an optimist. Like I see it all. I want to live at 51% optimism, 49% aware of the fear side of these things, like the bad things that could happen. I need to make sure we're always moving in the direction of positivity, optimism, to see the opportunity of where we're headed. Then you can be the realist side of like, okay, there are pain points that we need to be aware of. You might vary in there, but you're never below 51% optimistic ever. Never let yourself do that. It's massive. So stay 51% optimistic at the baseline, 49% negative, or what people like to say realist or whatever. It's great. Aware of what's happening. It's going to go a long ways. The second side that I'll say is where you find true joy, to be frank, is not just about forcing yourself to think optimistically, but is understanding who God is and that God wants to have a personal relationship with you. That's Jesus Christ. So there's two things to look at there. We're back, guys. We're talking about AI bubble today, some world affairs, Salesforce kind of regretting their layoffs, Oracle backing off investment a little bit, like we talked about a little bit last week, kind of backing off their infrastructure investment, but also OpenAI is backing out of their investment into an Abilene, Texas industrial or data center, and Microsoft is taking it over. Texas job market is crushing it. It's doing a really good job. They're maintaining a low percentage of unemployment. They're also a ton of job creation in Texas, which is really good stuff to look at. Canceled. Nearly half of planned 2026 AI data centers have been delayed or canceled. This is actually from Valuetainment, which I'm a fan of those guys. Power shortages and equipment bottlenecks are forcing delays across the AI sector, with nearly half of planned AI data centers for 2026 being delayed or canceled due to limited power infrastructure, shortages of transformers and switchgear, and insufficient grid capacity to handle the growing energy demands of large-scale AI systems. Dependence on imported equipment has extended delivery timelines, slowing construction even where funding and demand are already in place, highlighting a widening gap between rapid AI expansion and the physical infrastructure required to support it at scale. Yes, so you're seeing energy bills, electric bills, these things going up in certain regions where these data centers are going into heavily. We're realizing we don't have the capabilities to support the power needed, so there should be some things looking into nuclear power to support these, which you're going to start seeing a lot of that. Those conversations continue to grow. But you're also going to start seeing companies like AI. We just looked at Anthropic officially passed OpenAI in revenue. So OpenAI is getting beat as far as top line revenue goes. And also OpenAI is coming out with a lot of stuff that's not really healthy for people, just like we saw on social media, big social media win that changed these things, which is a whole different lawsuit that's coming out, that's came out and been done. That's proven that social media companies knew they were affecting kids and they were hurting them in health ways, the same in negative health ways, mental health ways. So we're also seeing that with AI. OpenAI now is looking at the tool that is built. It actually puts people to clinical diagnosis, which is crazy. So OpenAI, the point is OpenAI is seeing some weakness. They're losing some ground, I would say. Potentially as a result, they might not be able to have the ability to invest as well as they thought, or maybe want to invest in infrastructure setups. So they're backing out of their Abilene, Texas data center, and Microsoft is taking that over. And so the investment of what OpenAI is building, they're backing off of. So you're seeing a lot of momentum shifts. This is like the Wild West, is the new frontier. It's going to be massively impactful, but I have said earlier this year that we're going to see things slow down a little bit. We're not going to see massive things happen. I think we're still entering singularity, I guess, or we're still in that phase, as Elon Musk says. But I do think that we're not going to see drastic changes of AI, like as far as impactful as much as we've seen in the past year. I think this year is going to slow down a little bit due to power constraints. Biggest thing, like we're talking about here. So it's pretty massive. You're seeing shifts in the leaders of who's really leading that space. Claude passing OpenAI in total revenue. You're seeing kind of that the competition market heat up there a little bit in that area. You're seeing OpenAI lose its steam. They were first to market, I think, a long time ago in 2022 or so. They're losing their steam a little bit. You're also seeing companies like Oracle back off a little bit more in their investment. We talked about it a little bit on this last week. No more new debt, right? They're kind of stabilizing. They laid off, had a bunch of layoffs with the excuse of AI, to be honest, probably more AI whitewashing. But you're seeing them as well back off on their investment into data centers and structures, it looks like. I can't tell exactly what's happening there, but you're seeing a lot of those changes happening. So, but to wrap all this up, it looks like the infrastructure is going to be really hard to invest in. We've already known that for a while. So nuclear power is going to be talks. There's going to be electric bills going up. Manufacturing of these switch gears, the grid capacity, shortage of transformers, all that needs to be more localized probably in the U.S. to keep up with it. It's hard to keep that demand and that supply chain impacted there. There's that side of it. So pretty cool to see.
Texas is continuing to lead the nation in job growth. New numbers show tens of thousands of jobs were added back in January, outpacing the national rate. Texas added more than 40,000 jobs last month, bringing the total workforce to over 14 million. Over the past year, Texas gained more than 112,000 jobs, with growth outpacing the national average. The construction industry led the way, followed by leisure and hospitality and education and health services. The state's unemployment rate held steady at 3.3%.
Pretty cool to see. There's a crazy conundrum that I'm looking at here. So Texas is growing its job market, typical, awesome. A lot of red states are doing that, by the way. Florida's having success in a lot of these areas as well. Policies are driving this. Job growth is massive. Bringing in a lot of tech companies over here is building that. It's cool. It's great to see unemployment steady. That's right. There's some compliments to government of what they're doing here in Texas. It's awesome. 112,000 more jobs over the past year. It's great. It's growing. The economy is booming in Texas. It's awesome to see that. It's really how it's managed and implemented is really key. How does it build? Does it have the values is it promoting the values that we believe here in America? Is it something that's going to spur long-term growth of capitalism, free market enterprise, and the values that has built Texas and America and what we're looking at? Or is it something that's going to transition and change us? How does it look? What's it look like? Palantir CEO Alex Karp. All right, cool. So we're seeing a lot of this too. So let me go find this. Palantir CEO says only 2 types of people will survive the AI era.
Dyslexia, meaning there's no playbook I could possibly follow. I think some of the reasons why dyslexics are so outperformant now is that we're in a non-playbook world and the playbook's not that valuable. But if you're dyslexic, you can't follow the playbook or only in a third-rate way. So you invent new and generative things.
Palantir CEO Alex Karp argues that AI will wipe out most routine white-collar work, but 2 groups may have a real edge. Trade and vocational workers like electricians, plumbers, and mechanics because their work requires physical presence and real-world judgment that AI cannot replicate. And people who think differently, including those with ADHD, autism, or dyslexia, who approach problems like artists rather than following a playbook. Karp, who has dyslexia himself, believes this mindset is harder for AI to imitate than most assume. This makes total sense when you look at just white collar thinking type jobs where it's just admin, data work, or things like that. AI is going to replace a lot of that. AI can't replace things where you need physical labor right now. It can't until it gets robotics, then maybe you can. But judgment, calls, strategy, those things, I don't know if AI is ever really going to be able to replace that. So it's funny because if you look at the successful entrepreneurs, they're always the people that are asking why, or they're solving problems, and they don't really stop until they solve a problem. Whether they're ADD or not, or dyslexic, I don't know about all that. I can see that. But I would say people who are critical thinkers, critical thinking skills is massive. If you're studying and growing or building something, in our kids, one of the things I want our kids to do, and I'm praying for all the time, is to be critical thinkers. Because if you can think critically, you can discern between truth, you can solve problems, you can always look for answers in different ways. You can use AI as a tool to benefit you in those areas. So I would say, don't just sit on your couch, right? Don't be lazy. Get up, be active, go build something. It's entrepreneurship. That's what America's been great for, is to the opportunity to go build and take the risks and learn and solve problems in creative ways. ADHD, autism, dyslexia, I'm sure those are ways that it makes total sense that AI is not really comprehending and thinking that way. I would also just throw in that to entrepreneurship. If you're not diagnosed with something like ADD or ADHD or dyslexia or whatever, I would not let yourself just be like, well, what was me? I'd be like, wait a minute. No, there's still opportunity. You can solve problems. Think outside the box. Be critical. Solve problems. Think at a higher level. How do companies merge together? How do you solve a problem for a prospect in sales? How are you trying to lead the team that you're part of, or how can you become a leader, right? How can you serve people in such a way that they feel so loved and cared for by you? Think of those ways. That's what people are going to need. That's what America's going to need. That's what we're going to need. I'll say this. It will never replace human interaction and trust. It can't. It doesn't matter. You may feel those things temporarily, but there's holes in that. But looking somebody in the eye, shaking their hand, having that human trust interaction element will always be the upper card that humanity has, that will always rely upon problem solving, entrepreneurial mindset, thinking like artists rather than following a playbook, being something new. That's what has built capitalism. That's what's built people. And that's ultimately where I would say people need to start evolving and adapting to be critical thinkers. If you're not, learn how to build it and go and do it. This is pretty awesome to see as well. Salesforce now regrets replacing humans with AI after laying off 4,000 experienced employees. The company is facing trust and reliability issues with AI. Makes total sense. Here we go. The data tells an even more surprising story. Only 17% of workers fully trust AI without human oversight. And instead of saving time, many teams saw email workloads jump by 104%. And messaging increased by 145%. Why? Because every AI output still needs to be checked, corrected, and verified. Companies that rush to replace people quickly discovered something critical. Institutional knowledge, human judgment, and experience can't be automated overnight. The real winners in this shift aren't the companies cutting the most jobs. They're the ones using AI the right way. That's true. The smartest strategy isn't replacement, it's leverage. Keep your best people, give them powerful tools, and let AI enhance productivity instead of replacing it. Because in the end, AI doesn't outperform humans. Humans using AI outperform everyone else. That's a temporary statement. I think it's true. In the end, that's not really in the end. I don't necessarily fall for that one. I actually think AI does outperform humans because AI is processing what a human can 10,000 times faster. That's why you can have, production teams. You only need one person to do production and content editing and manage it all rather than 5 like it did 2 or 3 years ago, to be honest. That's because they're using AI. So there's 4 jobs cut right there, right? So it's like, 4 jobs cut. I need 1 person. It's outperforming everyone else. That's true. Humans using AI is doing it. The problem is that AI can do all of that work. So it's great to say it that way because in the end, AI doesn't outperform humans. Humans using AI outperform everyone else. That's true, but it doesn't mean those jobs are coming back. Like, how long does it take for me to look at an email and approve whether that was the right or wrong answer versus actually going and trying to solve the answer and do all the work to get to that point to where it was the right or the wrong answer? Like, they're 2 totally different mindsets. So they may regret laying off 4,000 experienced employees, but really the truth is, what's the return on, you got a ton more things to solve because it processed so much faster than this. So just go in and take less time to give it a yes or no versus actually having to dive in and solve the problem itself. How many problems did it solve? Like, there's some stuff to look at there. So yeah, they laid off 4,000 employees. They might be regretting it. It makes sense, but maybe they're regretting laying off 4,000. They should have only laid off 2,000. Maybe a way to look at it. So this isn't some promising, win one for humanity. That's not what this is. Maybe what's the return on the AI? How is it using? Is it saving time for them or not? Just because I had an increase in messaging and emails doesn't mean they didn't see a return on it either. So humans using AI is what is going to outperform everyone else. That doesn't mean 1 human doing the job of 5 total. We cut 4 jobs from it. In that analogy, it cuts 4 jobs. That's the reality. So use AI, be critical thinking, and go and build from there. Salesforce is learning lessons from that, but I still think these companies are moving in the right direction. They just might have moving too fast sometimes. Who knows? Dow surges 1,200 points as U.S Iran ceasefire sends oil tumbling. Live updates. No civilizations have been destroyed, which is massive. Stocks jumped Wednesday after President Donald Trump said he was suspending Iran attacks for 2 weeks, pausing a 5-week conflict that closed a crucial waterway for global energy supply and sent equity prices reeling. The Dow Jones Industrial Average ripped 1,200 points higher, or 2.6%. The S&P 500 popped 2.4%, and the NASDAQ Composite surged 2.8%. West Texas Intermediate crude futures tumbled more than 17% to $93.42 a barrel, following Trump's declaration. International benchmark Brent for June delivery lost more than 16%, $91.65 per barrel. I agreed to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks, Trump posted on Truth Social. We've received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Trump noted that the double-sided ceasefire was contingent on Iran agreeing to an opening of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's Supreme National Security Council has agreed to reopen the waterway for 2 weeks as long as all attacks are halted, according to a statement from Iran's foreign minister. The statement said transit would need to be coordinated with Iran's armed forces. Israel agreed to the ceasefire as well, according to the media reports. Well, here's the thing. Trump posts this on Truth Social, then minutes later, Iran attacks Israel. Israel fires back. Who knows if the ceasefire is going to work or not, what's going on. It's always crazy to see, but we do know this. If the Strait of Hormuz stays open, oil will be priced low as well. But I will say, I'm not as worried about the Strait of Hormuz for the American prices because America, I think, has a pretty strong basis on oil with Venezuela and also other areas that are kind of impeding towards China, that are affecting China and Russia as well. China gets like 30-something% or something like that out of their oil from the Strait of Hormuz, so they need that more than America does probably. But there's other things there. I don't really know exactly. But I wouldn't be worried about it as much on the U.S. side, to be frank. I am expecting this stuff to calm down over the next, let's just say 2 months. I'm kind of assuming. I don't know for sure. I'm not calling it, right? But I do think this is going to calm down within the next 2 months. Let's say this in the next 2 months is probably my thought process of when these things are going to kind of calm down. So we'll see. I think it's going to help. But the Strait of Hormuz definitely lowering oil prices per barrel, pretty big news, and we love seeing it. But ultimately, we want peace. We don't want any active wars or anything. We want evil to stop, good to prevail, hopefully, and we just want evil to stop and just none of that, and that's going to be a lot better on everybody. And that's it, team. That's a lot going on. There's a lot of other things that we can talk about and big stuff. We're gonna start shooting this long form content. It's kind of fun to do. I really enjoy it. Knocks it all out in one punch. But we would love to see the very few of you that are watching this right now, as you're there, anything that you got. We'd love to see some articles. Anything you got, it'd be fun to kind of start building that interaction with you guys. We love talking about this stuff. We're building business, man. Business on mission is so fun. We're looking at building multiple businesses in here, not just this, but at scale. We've got a lot of partners that we work with. There's world news, politics, a lot of things happening. So we love it. We're building. We love you guys. Stay in this. We're in it for the long haul. Let's go.